Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is R.S. Raghu and with me is Gaurav Sharma, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi says Kushinagar International Airport in Uttar Pradesh will ease journey to land of Lord Buddha. India is fast approaching 1 billion COVID-19 vaccine doses milestone. Over 991 million COVID vaccine doses administered so far. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says India and Israel will work even more closely to realize their partnership's vision for the next 30 years. India aims to reach 450 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2030. New Delhi expresses its strong opposition to China's Belt and Road Initiative and its flagship project China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. In Syria, 27 people killed in two separate violent incidents. And in men's T20 Cricket World Cup, India beat Australia by 8 wickets in second warm-up match in Dubai. As India is on the verge of vaccinating 100 crore people against COVID-19, All India Radio salutes the doctors, nurses and others who are making this possible. At the same time, we caution our listeners that the battle against COVID is not over yet. We appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and also help others get vaccinated. During the festival season, please follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact the national helpline numbers 011-23978046 and 1075. And now, the news. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Kushinagar International Airport in Uttar Pradesh on Wednesday. This is the 9th airport in the state. Mr. Modi also laid the foundation stone of Rajkiya Medical College along with inaugurating and laying the foundation of various development projects. The Prime Minister also attended a program held to mark the Abhidhamma Divas at Mahaparinirvana Temple in which the eminent monks from the Southeast Asian countries were present. Mr. Modi also offered floral respect to the reclining statue of Lord Buddha. Inaugurating the Kushinagar International Airport, the Prime Minister said that India is the center of Buddhist faith and the inauguration of the airport is a tribute to Buddhism. He said that the holy land of Kushinagar is now connected with the world. He added that India is committed to develop the regions related to Buddhism.
विश्व भर के बौद्ध समाज की श्रद्धा का, आस्था का, प्रेरणा का केंद्र है। आज कुशीनगर इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट की ये सुविधा एक प्रकार से उनकी श्रद्धा को अर्पित पुष्पांजलि है। भगवान बुद्ध के ज्ञान से लेकर महापरिनिर्वाण तक ये संपूर्ण यात्रा का साक्षी ये क्षेत्र आज सीधे दुनिया से जुड़ गया है।
Addressing the event held to mark the auspicious Abhidhamma Divas at Mahaparinirvana Temple in Kushinagar, the Prime Minister said that the Kushinagar International Airport will ease the journey of crowds of Buddhists to the land of Lord Buddha. The event was attended by a Sri Lankan delegation of over 100 members, including eminent Buddhist monks and dignitaries. The Prime Minister said that the world's largest vaccination program is currently underway in the country.
टूरिज्म के क्षेत्र में अब एक नया पहलू भी जुड़ गया है। वैक्सीनेशन की भारत की तेज गति से प्रगति दुनिया के लिए एक विश्वास पैदा करेगी कि अगर टूरिस्ट के रूप में भारत जाना है, किसी कामकाज से भारत जाना है, तो भारत व्यापक रूप से वैक्सीनेटेड है और इसलिए वैक्सीनेटेड कंट्री के नाते भी दुनिया के टूरिस्टों के लिए एक आश्वस्त व्यवस्था ये भी उनके लिए कारण बन सकता है।
Sri Lankan Sports Minister Namal Rajpaksa on Wednesday said one of the greatest gifts Sri Lanka got from India is Buddhism. He said Hinduism and Buddhism have coexisted and this deep-rooted relationship will be strengthened further. Mr. Rajpaksa said Kushinagar International Airport is a great gesture of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and especially inviting Sri Lankan Airlines to be the first international carrier to land at Kushinagar International Airport.
Under the world's largest vaccination drive, India is fast approaching 1 billion COVID-19 vaccine doses milestone. Till now, over 991 million COVID vaccine doses have been administered in the country so far. A total of 14,623 new cases of COVID-19 were also reported in the last 24 hours. The recovery rate is currently at 98.15%, which is the highest since March last year. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar called on Israel Prime Minister Naftali Bennett on Wednesday. Dr. Jaishankar, who is on a 5-day visit to Israel, conveyed the greetings of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In a tweet, he said, "It was a warm and rich discussion on realizing the full potential of the strategic partnership." The minister said Mr. Bennett's purposeful and focused approach to it was deeply encouraging. The External Affairs Minister said the Prime Minister's sharing of his strategic perspectives was also very valuable. He said India and Israel will work more closely to realize their partnership's vision for the next 30 years. Dr. Jaishankar also called on President of Israel, Isaac Herzog. The visiting leader said the conversation covered changes in the geopolitical landscape. He deeply appreciated the President's visible commitment to taking the bilateral ties to the next level. Dr. Jaishankar unveiled the memorial plaque of the Indian Army soldiers who fought at the Battle of Tabsor in the Megiddo Offensive of September 1918. He said this is a part of a larger India trail that will bring out the role of Indian soldiers in shaping the history of this region. He saluted the valor of the Indian soldiers who made the supreme sacrifice there. New and Renewable Energy Minister and President of International Solar Alliance R.K. Singh has said that solar energy is now the most viable option to achieve universal access to sustainable energy due to its affordability and amenability to off-grid solutions. Virtually addressing the 4th Assembly of the International Solar Alliance on Wednesday, Mr. Singh said solar energy is the most viable option for nations to rapidly decarbonize the energy sectors. He said India has made rapid strides in the solar energy sector over past few years, and rapid capacity addition is a testament to India's commitment to clean and affordable solar energy. Mr. Singh said India has a target to reach 450 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2030. He said India has 154 gigawatt of installed non-fossil generation capacity and another 67 gigawatt under construction. The United States Special Presidential Envoy for Climate Change, John Kerry, applauded the International Solar Alliance and the leadership of India, France, and member countries of the ISA Assembly in their collaboration to advance the global clean energy transition. He said it is really terrific to see India leading the ISA. Mr. Kerry said India is a close partner and the United States strongly supports India's goal of reaching 450 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2030. European Commission Executive Vice President for the European Green Deals, Frans Timmermans, confirmed the European Union's support to the initiative.
The United States has condemned the recent attacks on the minority Hindu community in Bangladesh. U.S. Department of State spokesperson Ned Price took to Twitter to condemn the violent attacks on Hindu temples and businesses in Bangladesh during the recent Durga Puja celebrations. He urged the Bangladesh government to investigate the incidents thoroughly. The spokesperson said, "Freedom of religion or belief is a human right, and every person around the world, regardless of their religious affiliation or belief, should feel safe and supported to celebrate important holidays." In Bangladesh, several social, political and cultural organizations have staged demonstrations and protest marches over the communal violence against the minority Hindu community during the Durga Puja. More than 200 artists, journalists, film personalities and intellectuals brought out a procession in Dhaka on Tuesday demanding justice for the sufferers of violence and punishment for the perpetrators. They placed an 8-point demand including immediate arrest of people involved in attacks on Durga Puja, taking steps to stop communal statements on social media and religious gatherings called Waz Mehfil, among others. Workers of the ruling Awami League brought out a rally in Dhaka on Tuesday in support of the Hindu community who faced attacks during the Durga Puja this year at several places like Kumela, Noakhali, Rangpur, among others. In Rajshahi town, a large gathering of people brought out a rally in the town and formed a human chain demanding punishment to the attackers on the Hindu community in the last few days of Durga Puja.
Russian President Vladimir Putin on Wednesday ordered the country's workers to stay off work for a week starting later this month amid rising coronavirus infection and death numbers, and he strongly urged reluctant citizens to get vaccinated. The government task force on Wednesday reported 1,028 coronavirus deaths over the past 24 hours, the highest number since the start of the pandemic. That brought Russia's total death toll to 2,26,353, which is by far the highest in Europe. Mr. Putin said on Wednesday that he supports the cabinet's proposal to introduce a non-working period starting October the 30th and extending through the following week, when 4 of 7 days already are state holidays. He added in some regions where the situation is the most threatening, the non-working period could start as early as Saturday and be extended after November the 7th. In a video call with top officials, Mr. Putin said that their task is to protect life and health of citizens and minimize the consequences of the dangerous infection. About 45 million Russians, or 32% of the country's nearly 146 million people, are fully vaccinated. India has expressed its strong opposition to China's Belt and Road Initiative (BRI) and its flagship project, the so-called China-Pakistan Economic Corridor (CPEC), at the just concluded second UN Global Sustainable Transport Conference in Beijing. Priyanka Sohoni, the first secretary at the Indian Embassy in Beijing, while stating India's position, hit out at China's BRI, where her mic surprisingly went silent precisely at the point when she was highlighting New Delhi's objection to the controversial projects. The conference was hosted by China in Beijing from 14th to the 16th of October under the aegis of the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs, DESA. More from a Beijing correspondent.
The sudden mic failure at the UN conference, hitherto going on smoothly, created a flutter and took several minutes to restore, after which the Indian statement could be completed. While explaining India's commitment for the expansion and strengthening of physical connectivity, the Indian diplomat expressed India's concerns on BRI and said that India is uniquely affected by it. Its inclusion of the so-called CPEC as a flagship project impinges on India's sovereignty. She further said that no country can support an initiative that ignores its core concerns of sovereignty and territorial integrity. She highlighted India's firm belief that connectivity initiatives must follow principles of openness, transparency, and financial responsibility. She said India, for its part, abides by these principles and stands ready to make collective efforts for sustainable development through a human-centric approach. Chinese Transport Minister Li Xiaopeng, who was present at the conference, responded to the Indian diplomat's criticism of BRI, which diplomats familiar with UN procedures said was a likely breach of UN protocols. Anshuman Mishra for World News, All India Radio, Beijing.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
Welcome back to World News. In Japan, Mount Aso volcano erupted at island of Kyushu on Wednesday. Japan's meteorological agency said the volcano has been spewing volcanic ash 3,500 meters into the sky. There were no immediate reports of casualties or major damage at the popular tourist destination, but the meteorological agency has asked people not to approach the mountain. It also warned of large volcanic blocks and pyroclastic flows with scattering within a range of approximately 1 kilometer from the mountain's Nakadake crater. A rare bombing against an army bus in Damascus and a shelling moments later of a town in rebel-held northwestern Syria killed at least 27 people on Wednesday in the deadliest flare-up in months. 2 bombs planted on an army bus in central Damascus were detonated early in the morning, killing 14 people in the worst such attack in the capital in 4 years. The state news agency reported. There was no immediate claim for the bombing, but moments later, shelling by government forces killed 13 people in Idlib province, an area controlled by groups that have claimed such attacks in the past. In today's hotspot section, we bring you a discussion on the developments in Afghanistan. In conversation are Ashok Sajjanhar, former diplomat, and Simran Sodhi, journalist.
Today we are discussing the situation in Afghanistan, and we have seen in the last 2 months with the Taliban takeover in Afghanistan how the situation has rapidly changed and how the international community, including India, is very concerned with what we are seeing unfolding in Afghanistan. We also see that India has invited the regional national security advisors to Delhi for a meeting in November, and this invitation has also been extended to Pakistan's NSA Moeed Yusuf, which is quite a departure from the bilateral ties and the trust deficit we have seen between India and Pakistan, primarily due to the terrorism support that Pakistan has extended over years to the activities happening in India. Ambassador Sajanhar, when you see this invite that Delhi has given to the regional national security advisors, how do you see this move, especially when we take cognizance of the fact that it includes Pakistan's NSA also?
Simran, I think that it's a very significant move forward. It's also a very bold move forward. And I think with this move, I would say that the wait and watch policy of India as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I think we are moving beyond that. Because as you've said very rightly, over the last 2 months, several developments have taken place in terms of how different countries are reacting and responding to the changes in Afghanistan. But one of the most significant outcomes of this has been that on the 15th of August, exactly about 2 months ago, when Taliban took over Kabul and the whole country fell to it, it was expected that a large number of countries would very quickly recognize the Taliban dispensation and that they would be able to establish the government and they would be able to move forward. This has not happened, and for a variety of reasons. Because there were 3 countries that were really in the forefront. Pakistan, of course, which had been giving safe havens and been providing all the support to Taliban for the last 20 years. Also Qatar, which had been giving accommodation to the Doha political office of the Taliban. And then, of course, China, because just before 15th August, actually on 28th July, large Taliban delegation led by Mullah Ghani Baradar had visited Beijing. And there was a very well projected photograph of Wang Yi along with the Taliban delegation. So it was expected that these 3 countries would definitely be in the forefront of extending recognition to the Taliban dispensation. And then others like Russia, like Iran and Turkey, they would follow suit, and then this would build up a momentum. This has not happened, and the basic reason is that the commitments that had been given by the Taliban to the global community in terms of not allowing its territory to be used as a springboard for launching terror attacks against neighbors, also in terms of providing an inclusive government in which all ethnic minorities, etc., would be provided space, whether it is the Tajiks, who comprise about 30% of the population, or it is the Uzbeks, or it is the Shia Hazaras and others. Also, as fact as respect for women, providing political space to them also in the government and administration, that has not happened. So I think Taliban has been seen by the global community as retracting from its commitments that it had given, that what it had said that Taliban 2.0 is very different from the first Taliban that ruled the country from 1996 to 2001, and its definition of Sharia Islam and political Islam today is very different from what it was earlier. But that doesn't seem to be the case, because even as far as not exacting reprisals against those who had worked for the previous administrations, it has gone back on that as far as imposing the harshest of Sharia interpretation on women coming out of homes, working in the offices, going to schools, girls going to schools and to universities. So all this Taliban has been implementing very severely. So this has created huge doubts in the minds of people. So this is what is the development. And of course, the final denouement that you mentioned, that India has invited all NSAs of neighboring countries. I see that Turkmenistan has not been mentioned. Tajikistan and Uzbekistan have been mentioned. China, Russia, and Pakistan have been mentioned. But Turkmenistan is not there. But I think it is quite significant that Pakistan's NSA Moeed Yusuf, that has been mentioned. There have been reports of back-channel discussions having taken place between the NSAs of India and Pakistan in the run-up to the signing of the ceasefire in February this year, and even more recently in April or so, when India was expected initially to have the first meeting of NSAs, but that could not take place because of the rapid evolution of and deterioration of the security situation in Afghanistan, and also the second wave of the coronavirus pandemic in India. But I think this is an indication that India wants to be engaged hands-on, and it wants to be a part of the solution going forward, and it doesn't want to be left watching from the sidelines. So I think this is going to be significant. Along with it, what is significant is India's participation in the Moscow format talks on the 20th
Dr. Sajanhat, this is something, I wanted you to tell our listeners in a little bit more detail that before the regional NSAs gather in Delhi for this meeting in November, India will also be sending an official team to attend the Moscow process of talks, which will take place on October 20th, and this will include the Taliban government's deputy prime minister. This is also going to be an outreach by India to connect with what is changing in Afghanistan. Do you feel that this puts India back in the game? Because we also saw that with the dynamics changing in Afghanistan so rapidly, we also saw that India had a stance where, and it still stands, that they do not want to recognize the Taliban and what they stand for. But do you think this might be the way out for India as it goes forward in dealing with the changes in Afghanistan?
Well, Simran, all the countries will be participating in the Moscow format of discussions. None of them has so far recognized the Taliban dispensation in Kabul. So India is not alone in that it has not recognized. None of the other countries have also recognized. So I think we are moving forward, but this is a huge step forward as far as India is concerned, because so far India was dealing only with the Ashraf Ghani government, which President Ashraf Ghani himself left on the 15th of August and left the door completely open to the Taliban to come in and take over. Now, as far as engagement with the Taliban, we have not had any engagement with the Taliban so far, except, let's say, in 2018, in February, if my memory serves me correctly, when another Moscow format talks were held. We had sent two of our retired diplomats only with a listening brief that they would not have any conversation with the Taliban, and they would not make any comments as far as the discussions are concerned. So after that, this is very rapid, very strong move forward. Of course, we are aware that the Taliban representative Sher Stanigzai, he had met our ambassador in Doha, Deepak Mittal, on the 1st of September, and they had a conversation, and India had quite clearly laid down its conditions and its concerns as far as launch of terrorist activities from Taliban-ruled Afghanistan is concerned, and the fact that people who want to leave Afghanistan, Indians and also Afghans, that they should be permitted, that they should be facilitated to do so. So this had been made clear, but after that, there has been no open engagement between India and the Taliban. So this will be the first time that India will be sitting around the same table with the Taliban representatives, with the Taliban senior officials, political officials, and having discussions. So I think this is a huge step forward, and it is a signal to the evolving situation, because I think India has also recognized that the Taliban is in Kabul. It is here to stay. It is we should start with operationally engaging them. As the Prime Minister has said on a number of occasions, even at the SEO summit, that we should provide humanitarian assistance to the people of Afghanistan, also medical supplies and medical relief to the people of Afghanistan. And we have a very long civilizational connect with the people of Afghanistan. So this would be an forward movement in safeguarding and promoting our interests in that country.
With these comments, we end today's discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now a report from the business world.
The BSE Sensex plunged 456 points or 0.74% to trade at 61,260. The NSE Nifty also fell 152 points or 0.83% to trade at 18,267. Amongst the global markets, Asian shares traded mixed. Hong Kong's Hang Seng gained 1.4% and Japan's Nikkei 225 added 0.1%. Singapore's Straits Times ended flat while the South Korea's Kospi slipped 0.5% and China's Shanghai Composite fell 0.2%. European markets were also mixed and trading in narrow range in the intraday trade. Oil futures rose and were near the multi-year highs as an energy supply crunch continued across the globe. In the intraday trade, the Brent crude was trading around $84.30 per barrel, and back home, gold prices gained 220 rupees at the multi-commodity exchange for December contracts in sync with gains in the international markets. Precious metal was trading at 47,500 rupees per 10 grams. Silver also rose 560 rupees to 65,010 rupees per kilogram for December contracts when reports last came in. And in the forex market, the rupee logged robust appreciation of 47 paise to trade below the 75 rupees per dollar mark. The domestic unit closed at 74 rupees and 88 paise against the US dollar. This is Nishit Kumar for World News All India Radio.
And moving on to sports now, in the men's T20 Cricket World Cup, in the second practice match, India defeated Australia by 8 wickets at the ICCA Dubai. Australia won the toss and chose to bat and set the target of 153 runs. The men in blue touched the target, losing only 2 wickets in 17.5 overs. In the other Group A qualifier match, Namibia beat the Netherlands by 6 wickets at the Zayed Cricket Stadium, Abu Dhabi. Netherlands set a target of 165 runs, which Namibia achieved in 19 overs. The Men's T20 World Cup was earlier scheduled to be held in India but was shifted to the United Arab Emirates and Oman. The Board of Cricket for Control in India, BCCI, remains the host of the event.
Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Guardian reports that Latvia is the first country to reimpose lockdown in Europe's new COVID wave. Financial Times writes that Turkey faces a threat of grey listing by global finance watchdog. The Washington Post says White House unveils to roll out coronavirus vaccination plan for kids aged 5 to 11. The Washington Post reports that Facebook to pay more than $14 million in Justice Department settlement over discrimination against American workers. The Globe and Mail writes that Russian President Putin will not attend climate summit in person. Wall Street Journal says Tesla poised for record quarterly earnings on supply chain resilience. A quick look at the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says Kushinagar International Airport in Uttar Pradesh will ease journey to land of Lord Buddha. India is fast approaching the 1 billion COVID-19 vaccine doses milestone, over 991 million COVID vaccine doses administered so far. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says India and Israel will work even more closely to realize their partnership's vision for the next 30 years. India aims to reach 450 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2030. New Delhi expresses its strong opposition to China's Belt and Road Initiative and its flagship project China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. In Syria, 27 people killed in 2 separate violent incidents. And in Men's T20 Cricket World Cup, India beat Australia by 8 wickets in second warm-up match in Dubai. India is celebrating the 152nd birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan Vaishnav Jan by artists from Cyprus. that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.